Hey everyone, welcome back to Toy Habits, and we are taking an up close and personal look at the Masters of the Universe Origins Wave 13 figures. And before we dive into the review of all of the figures, be sure to head over to toyhabits.com and check out the amazing still images of Wave 13 taken by the one and only very talented toy sorceress. Another thing to note is that these figures have already been removed from their plastic prisons, but for now, let's take a look at the figures. And let's start off with looking at Slamurai, and just to get this out of the way, Slamurai is an 80% reuse and repaint of the Ninjor figure, so the differences lie in the bracers and also the boots. And starting from the top and working our way down to the bottom, you can see that Slamurai has a ninja mask, and you can kind of see the texturing and just the details that they have put on the back. It kind of bunches up at the top here, and it looks like it adds some folds just to add some realism to his outfit. And moving our way down to his chest, he has a nice shirt that is made of more of a hard plastic, and it's not a fabric type of shirt. It has some nice kanji in the middle, and you can see the belt going around, and also a place to store all of his weapons. And just looking at his arms, they are just painted white, and they have just standard MOTU Origins wrist bracers on them. Alright, moving down to his gray furry loincloth and blue belt. They do match the bracers, which is nice, and he just has a plain white paint app on his legs with plain white boots. So all in all, really good figure, really nice repaint of Ninjor, and very cool to get Slamurai in the line. And as you can see, Slamurai comes with a really nice pack out with a bow, which again is a repainted bow from the Ninjor figure, and it's got some really nice detail with a nice scope and arrow, and it looks like this is a compound bow. He also comes with a sword, and basically the same sword that comes with Jitsu and one of the Rulers of the Sun figures, just painted in silver. And he also comes with some nunchucks, and these have a white handle to them, and they look really, really nice. And we will show you how all of his weapons and accessories fit on. And one of the cooler parts of Slamurai is that he can stow his weapons and accessories. So his nunchucks fit in this little space in the back here. And he also has a little slot so he could stow his sword like so. And with his bow and arrow, you can just put it in his hand, and he can cause some mayhem with the Snake Men. All right, and moving on to the 2000X style King Randor, we're going to get his cape out of the way so we can take a closer look at the details of the figure. But his cape is more of a soft plastic. It is not a soft goods cape, and it has a really nice gold chain going around his neck. And now that King Randor's cape is off, they actually did a really good job with his head sculpt, especially the hair sculpt, since that's pretty much all you see on his head. So really great detail, and the hair looks actually really natural, and you can kind of see his ears peeking out here. And I get less of a Burger King vibe from this King Randor, and I really love the expression on his face that they gave him for this one. And moving to the chest armor, they did a really nice job with a lot of the gold detail that you can see on the front of his chest, and you can also see some really nice detailing on the armor that goes over his shoulders. From the back, you can kind of see some of the detail here that they have, and they've really did a nice job with sculpting those parts, because they could have just left it flat. And moving on to the arms, he does have a standard bracer on his right arm, and he has that more bionic looking bracer on his left arm. And moving down to the waist armor, again, really nice job, covering the family jewels, of course, but a lot of the detail is in the bottom and kind of side pieces that they have here. So around to the back, you can see a lot of the detail still comes around the back, and it kind of bunches up, making it look like it's more of a malleable armor. And of course, he would not be King Randor 2000X without his bionic leg, which they did a really nice job on. So if you take a look at that, you can see some of the red detail on the knee and just some of the parts that they used to make this a really new leg. And they didn't reuse a boot. They actually gave him some boots that were differentiated from each other, which really fits into the bionic leg. And then on this left leg, you have his regular teal colored skin or jumpsuit underneath with a standard MOTU boot. Now with this version of King Randor, they actually gave him a proper staff, and it has some nice axe detail at the top. As you can see, on one side it's flat, on the other side they have some carved out detail just to differentiate both sides from each other. There's also some defining lines on the staff itself, and it tapers to a nice point at the end. Now there are some really cool things that you can do with this King Randor, given that his waist pops off and his waist armor comes off as well. As you can see, this is a separate piece. So let's strip down King Randor and let's see what we can do with him. And King Randor actually looks really good without his chest armor and his waist armor. So this is just a different option that you can use if you want to display him in a different way. And you might be wondering, why the heck is Battle Armor He-Man making a cameo in this King Randor review? But just wanted to show you just some of the cooler things that you can do with that skirt piece or that waist armor piece. You can actually put it on different figures and just make different designs. This is more of a kit bash, something that I am skilled enough at doing, replacing parts but not painting them. But you can kind of give a little bit cooler look or a different look to the Battle Armor He-Man figure. And with a simple head swap, you can actually turn the Battle Armor He-Man into a Battle Armor King Randor figure if you so desire. And last thing we'll take a look at is the 2000X version of the MOTU Origins King Randor and the standard release of King Randor that came out in Wave 10. And as you can see, two very different looks for King Randor, his 2000X version versus his more Burger King-esque vintage-like appearance. And next up, let's take a look at Snake Teela, which, in my opinion, I think is the sleeper figure of the bunch. But as you can see, they reused the Teela head from the Zoar and Teela 2-pack that came out a few months ago. And you can also see some of the differences here, and we'll get into a little bit more details, but essentially reusing the same arms and legs, but different style boots and different style armor. And first and foremost, starting with her head sculpt, they really did an amazing job on the paint app here, and it really makes it look like she has snake textured skin without overdoing it on the face and also on the chest. The lips are colored red, and you can see the fangs, and you can also see some really cool red beady eyes that she has. And really love the use of this head sculpt, as the one that came with the Zoar and Teela 2-pack had a really great look for this figure. And if you remember in the 2000X MYP series, she did have a high pony, and so it is really cool that they just didn't use the standard Teela head sculpt for this figure. All right, and moving down to the armor pieces that she has, you can see that they had sculpted on some shoulder armor, which is a really nice addition to the figure. And they actually made a new design for her midsection here, and it's different than the previous versions of Teela, so it kind of looks like a nod to the ram's horn, but you can kind of see some texturing and some detail that they put on this armor just to differentiate it from other figures. You can also see the cool green texturing and green skin that she has. And if you turn her around to the back, they even gave her a slot to hold her sword. And moving to the arms, they did add some snake texturing to the shoulder here, and it's essentially just the reuse of the standard Teela arm. And if you move down to the legs, her upper thighs are the standard stock Teela thigh with some texturing on the outside and some really cool snake skin, or just snake underbelly, if you will, that is appearing on the insides of her thighs. And her boots are actually brand new. They have a different wrap to them, and they have a very cool kind of dagger-like appearance that's sculpted on the front. And you can also see that this is kind of a separate sculpted on piece and it's not connected to her leg. All right, and Snake Teela comes packed with her green recolored snake staff that came with her original figure, and this is basically a repaint, so there's really nothing special about it. And again, this is also a repaint from her Teela and Zohar 2-pack sword, but love actually the green cast in here. Kind of brings out a lot of the detail that might have gotten lost in the gold treatment that they gave it. All right, and given that Teela has a slot in her back to stow her sword, you can just slot it in there like that, and it fits really, really nicely and gives her a kind of a very cool look when you're posing her with the sword in her back. And another thing, really cool thing that you can do with Snake Teela is actually put her snake armor on her, which actually looks really nice. And I got this idea from friend of the channel and Instagram buddy Kiko Prime. And you can obviously just put the straps in the back and kind of make this proper, but really fits nicely, and it just kind of fits over her ponytail and it rests really nicely on the figure. All right, and last but not least, let's take a look at the Snake Trooper. And you might be asking yourself, why the Horde Party for this Snake Trooper review? But the Snake Trooper is actually a mashup of parts between the Horde Trooper and the Grizzlor figure. So if you actually take a look at the boots at the bottom, they've reused those, and they've reused about 80% of the Horde Trooper armor, with some color variations that are painted. So it has some nice gold on the shoulders, and actually this symbol here is colored in the blank space that they just left on the Horde Trooper. So let's take a closer look at the Snake Trooper and check them out. All right, and taking a look at the Snake Trooper's head sculpt, it is a brand new head sculpt and has a really nice tight fit inside the collar here. And if we use his action feature to pop him down, we can actually get a closer look at the head sculpt here. So you can see some scales, the yellow eyes with the red paint app, and it's actually a really, really cool figure. The only thing that I wish is that you could either kind of tilt his head further so you can see more of his face when you close him up, but when you close him up, his jaw kind of hits the collar here, so it kind of gives him more of an upper gazing look to him. So I think something to solve that would have been to throw a neck extension on here, but given that this is an $18 figure, they're probably not going to do that. And taking a closer look at the armor, this is essentially a reuse of the same mold that they use for the Horde Trooper, with some really cool gold accents that kind of bring out some of the detail on the arms. Still does retain the action feature that I showed you just a second ago, and instead of red on the inside, it is painted just a straight black, and you kind of lose the detail of the circuitry in there, but I think it's okay. I don't know if I'll be displaying this figure with the action feature normally, but as you can see, the arms are a straight Horde Trooper repaint or retool, and you can kind of get a glimpse of what I was showing you earlier with that kind of extra piece of gold that was painted just to make the symbol look a little better. Again, reuse of the Horde Trooper legs, but the boots from Grizzlor, which have kind of a nice shiny paint app to them. All right, and the Snake Trooper does come with a snake emblem on his shield, which is really cool because you can also imagine this working with a Lord Grasp figure. And the staff is the standard Horde Trooper staff that comes with the standard Horde Trooper and plus the PowerCon exclusive Horde Troopers here. So great looking figure, really very cool to have a 2000X or Con figure that was in the MOTU Classics line and also making his debut in the Origins line. All right, and that wraps up our review of the MOTU Origins Wave 13 figures. So let us know if you're excited about this wave, which one is your favorite of the bunch, and always let us know in the comments below. And also remember to head over to toyhabits.com to check out the amazing still images and review if you want to see more detailed looks and to see what they look like in package.